Hello students, so this is our chapter General Chemistry in your class and this is our first lecture in this chapter. So let's begin with this. In this chapter we will study all about matter, atoms and molecules and their bonding and how they combine, why they combine and everything we study generally in chemistry. Okay, so beginning with this chapter General Chemistry, our first lecture. In this our first topic is matter. We all know what is matter, like for we have studied this in our earlier classes also. Matter, anything that occupies space, that has mass and offer resistance. So talking about matter, so what is matter? Anything that occupies space, has mass and offer resistance is called matter. So here we talk about matter, and that is any substance, anything we see around us is all are examples of matter. We see anything, like we can talk about air, we can talk about water, we can talk about our objects like our almirah, our house, roads, everything. Everything we have around us is a matter. Your pencil, your book, what you are seeing around you occupies space, and they all are comes under the category of matter. So we can in general say that all the substances are matter. Chemistry is the study of composition of matter and its transformation. What is chemistry? Chemistry deals with the everything that has the relations with matter. Like we in chemistry we study all about matter, like how it transforms, what is its composition, what it is made up of. We talk about matter, and matter is made up of small particles. We will discuss those particles in detail. So chemistry deals with those things. Chemistry deals with the study or of behavior of composition, structure and properties of matter, and the phenomenon which occurs when different kinds of matter undergoes changes. So what chemistry deals with, actually the composition of matter, the properties of matter, all the properties of matter, what is the structure of matter, what is the arrangement of particles in any kind of matter, and also the changes taking place while the transformation. Like we can say about evaporation, what happens in evaporation, the liquid phase, the liquid state goes to the gaseous state. So that is like we talk about the transformation here. So the states of matter transform into each other, and those all phenomenons are also discussed under chemistry. Okay, so the phenomenons which occur when different kind of matter changes from one another. Okay, so in general we can say that chemistry deals with everything about matter. The space anything occupies is called its volume. What is volume? Anything that occupies space, the space covered by it. Like I will say that the room covers some volume, that the water covers some volume, that is it. The amount of matter anything contains is called its mass. And then we talk about mass, that the amount of substance it is covering. Like it is like having the, like I will say the mass is the weight, I can say. Then we have states of matter. We all know what are the states of matter. Three states of matter. I have already told you many times that there are three states of matter: liquid, solids and gases. So talking about the matters classification, so we have here three classifications: solid, liquid and gas. First of all, solid. So it is a solid has a fixed volume, a definite shape and a definite mass. In solids, particles are tightly or closely packed. So what is solid? What are solids? Those which have definite volume. So volume should be fixed, no change in the volume. And then we talk about mass and shape. Shape of volume does not, the shape of solids does not change. If I see the pencil, can I change the shape of the pencil? No, it will be discarded. So that solids cannot change the shape, they can transform the shape but have fixed shape. And then we talk about mass, so they have fixed mass, can say definite mass. And then in solids, particles are tightly or closely packed. With this, what they say, they actually say that if I have small particles out of which the matter is made up of, so the particles will be very very closely packed like this. So this is, they have all their arrangement, all those atoms. And you don't know about atoms yet, so I will talk about the particles, the particles out of which the matter is made. So the all are very closely packed, like they cannot be shifted out a bit, so they have fixed volume. If they can be shifted, so that will have change of volume. So talking about liquid, a liquid has a fixed volume but not a definite shape. Liquids take the shape of the container in which they are kept. So I talk about the liquids. So liquids do not have any definite shape, but they have definite volume, like fixed volume. So the volume is fixed here, but the shape is not fixed. They take the shape of the container. Like I put water in a glass, so the shape of the water will be like the shape of the glass. And if I put that water in the bucket, so then the shape of that water will be the shape of the bucket. So what is happening, the liquids are taking the shape of the containers in which they are kept. And then in liquids, particles are less tightly packed as compared to solids. So here we will have somewhat less tightly packed, so they have a little space in between them and they can move a little bit. But here there is no movement of particles. Here some particles can move. And then gases, a gas has neither a fixed volume nor a definite shape. They can move freely. So talking about gases, like I talk about air in my surrounding. So is there any definite volume? No, there is no definite volume, no definite shape. They can move freely, like all the particles move freely in the air. Okay. And then particles are far apart from each other. So here the particles are very far, like this, like there are so many space in between them. And that is, I do not compare this with this. And then the particles of gases are very far apart from each other, and that is we will have next, that is the examples. Like talking about solids, I can say your book is a solid, and you can say the jug we have near us is a solid, the plate we have, all the things that have fixed shape are under the category of solids. Like I can say hat, pencil, skateboard, table, snow, bicycle, apple have a fixed shape, I can see. And then computer, treehouse, all these things comes under the category of solids. Then we have liquids. Liquids are like water, juices, milks, etc. So milk, any drink, water in the pool, and hot chocolate, rain, soup, juices, drinks, all these are under the category of liquids. They take the shape of their container, but they have fixed volume but not the fixed shape. And then I talk about gases, wind, air, hot air balloons, wind from fan, steam, wind, fog, all these are the examples of gases. So they do not have fixed, they neither have fixed volume and nor have fixed shape. And talking about solids, they have fixed volume, fixed shape, and fixed mass also. So these were some examples of solids. And remember the particles arrangement, that in solids they are very tightly packed, in liquids they are less tightly packed, like they can move freely somewhat, and they can move freely like a little bit. And in gases they can move freely like anywhere, and the particles do not have very less attraction forces in between them, so they can move apart from each other. Then we have the next topic, atom. This might be a new word to you, but I will explain you everything and you try to understand what I am saying. Atom is defined as the structural and functional unit of a matter. So we know that our body, like I talk about biology, so you have studied the cell. What is cell? Cell is a biological, mean the fundamental unit of human body. So like that we have atoms. Atoms are the fundamental unit of matter. Anything we see is made up of atoms. Like we can say, if anything is made, there are small particles which will make it. So those particles, those small particles are atom. So what is atom? An atom is defined as a structural and functional unit of a matter, like the smallest unit, the functional unit of a matter. The term atoms comes from the Greek word which means indivisible. That is because indivisibles means which cannot be divided. So atoms come from the Greek word that means indivisible, because atoms are the smallest units of matter in the universe and cannot be divided further. That is, atoms cannot be divided further. So I can say that they are indivisible. Atoms are indivisible. They cannot be divided further. So this is the smallest unit of matter. Anything in the universe is made up of atoms. Like any matter I talk about, solids, liquids, gases, all are made up of atoms. Okay, then atoms are extremely small particles, so small in size that they cannot be seen even under a microscope. Atoms are very small, we cannot even see them with microscope. Like I talk about the thickness of like I talk about the size of the atoms. What are they actually have, like if I compile too many atoms now, then also they cannot be compared with the thickness of the paper. Like the thickness of the paper will be more than the many atom size. So you can not imagine the size, like it will be very little bit. We cannot see it naked eyes, but also with not a microscope. So you can imagine like how small they are, you know, like anything we see are all made up of matter and we cannot even see that smallest particle. Then we have the size of the atom is indicated by the radius of the atom, which is called atomic radius. Atomic radius is measured in nanometer, and the size of the atoms are measured by taking their radius, because atoms are spherical. So we will take the radius and then we can say what are their size approximately, and the size is in nanometer. Do you know what is nanometer? Nanometer is like I can say that 1 meter, like 1 meter have 100 centimeter, 1 meter have 1000 and kind of things. So 1 meter, so here 1 meter is equal to 10 raised to the power 9 nanometer. So that is the nanometer definition. Like nanometer is 1 meter is equal to 10 raised to the power 9 nanometers. So you can say that 1 nanometer is equal to 10 raised to the power minus 9 meters, and that is a very very small size. So all the atoms are measured in the range of nanometers, and that is very small size. We cannot even see it with the help of microscope. Then we have elements and their symbols. So elements, you might have heard about them, but like they are the simplest substances. So elements are chemically the simplest substances and hence cannot be broken down using chemical reactions. So we might have seen chemical reactions, and then we have like reactions taking place, and then we just sometimes combine each other, sometimes break the bonds of the atoms, and that is, but we cannot further break the elements. Like you can say that elements are the simplest substances. Like we talk about atoms, so atoms may not be same. Like we can say that the water atom is not same as the air atom. Like atoms of air and atoms of water, do you think they are same? They might not be same, they might be same. So we have to think about it, na? So that is, the different kind of atoms are kind of different elements, take it like that. So it is kind of that elements are chemically like the simplest substances. The substance I am talking about here, not the particle. Particle is that atom, and then elements are the simplest substances. Like I say about oxygen, so oxygen is an element. And I talk about iron is an element. I talk about copper, I talk about gold, nitrogen, helium, hydrogen. The gases, metals, non-metals, all are under the category of elements first, and then they are further divided. So elements are what? The chemically smallest substance, simplest substances, and which cannot be further broken down into another things using any kind of chemical reaction. Elements can only be changed into other elements using nuclear methods. Like if I want to change one element to another element, they can be transformed using nuclear reactions. Like you might have heard about nuclear fusion, nuclear fission. They all transforms one element to another element. There are currently 118 accepted elements. So you might have heard about like periodic table or not, but it is like the all the elements in the universe are totally combined, totally stated in a table, and that is the periodic table, where we can see all the elements. And in total the elements are 118, which includes all the elements you might have heard, and I have told you the examples right now, like hydrogen, helium, oxygen, carbon, I can say iron, copper, gold. All these are elements, and in total there are 118 elements. A symbol is a brief representation of the name of the element. Like if I say iron, so they then I will have a symbol to represent iron. If I talk about hydrogen, I will have a particular symbol to represent hydrogen, because every time we talk about reactions, we write questions, we write symbols. So we will write them in short, because we cannot write the whole hydrogen thing again and again. So they have some symbols. And firstly, like I will say hydrogen, so hydrogen have the symbol H, capital H for itself. And then see this, these are the first, like I have told you that there are 118 elements, so these are the first 20 elements I am discussing here. So first of all, taking the first name, that is hydrogen, that have the symbol H. Then helium, He. I have, you can see that the first two letters of this are taken. And then lithium, then again first two letters are taken, beryllium, boron, carbon, the first letter is only taken. And then nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, only again the first letter is taken. Then neon, the two letters in the first are taken. Then sodium. Now you might be confused that why is the symbol of sodium Na. So I will discuss that in my next slide. Then magnesium, and now magnesium is not Ma but Mg, any another letter is taken from the name. Then aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, and potassium. Again potassium does not have the same symbol as its name. And then calcium, Ca. Now you might see that we have too many elements starting with the letter C. If I will write C for this, C for chlorine and C for calcium, then there will be a lot of confusion. So we write carbon with C, and then chlorine with Cl, like that, chlorine, and then calcium with Ca. Always write the first letter of the elements capital, and if there is another letter like second letter, that will be in the small size. So these were the 21st elements which we discussed and have discussed their symbols also. Okay, now there were some symbols which do not have the same name as the same symbol as their name. So how the symbols are selected? So many elements have their symbol derived from either the first letter, like I can say carbon, that is C, and then I can say nitrogen, that is N. So that is only the first letter is taken. Example, hydrogen, H is taken for hydrogen, or the first two letters, that is example helium, that HE is taken as helium. And I talk about chlorine, that is Cl. So first two letters are taken here, not actually first two, but the third letter is taken here. Any two letters are taken from the name. And then we have a few elements which have symbols derived from their Latin names. Like some elements do not take the names from their original name, like in English, but take their names from Latin. Like I talk about iron. Iron have the symbol Fe because its Latin name is ferrum. And then I talk about copper, that is Cu, that is cuprum, and that is why it is taken from this, and the example and the symbol is Cu. Then I talk about potassium, and we have discussed this in the earlier slide, that potassium has a symbol K, which do not have any relation with its English name but have the name from the Latin name, that is kalium. And then I have gold. Gold is the Latin name, have the aurum, that is the symbol is taken to be Au. And then silver, that is argentum, and I take the symbol Ag for silver. So these were the elements, general elements, like the substances which we cannot further divide using any chemical reaction. And there are in total 118 elements. So moving forward, we have our next topic, atomic theories. Dalton's atomic theory of matter are as follows. First of all, the atom was discovered by, we can say, there were some Greek philosophers which they were understanding what is atom, and they uh, come up with the philosophy that there is some substances out of which all the matters are made up of, and that is why they came up with the theory. And then further many scientists work on it, and we came to a point that there are some particles which combine to form all the matter we see. So Dalton was the first one to completely say what actually are atoms, and he told everything about the atoms. And coming with his atomic theory, we have some points. Matter consists of small indivisible particles called atoms. So he told us that matter is made up of some particles, which we talk like particles are made, particles combined together to form any matter, and they are indivisible. They cannot be divided further. And what are they? They are atoms. All atoms of an element are identical in nature. If I say I have an atom of hydrogen and I have another atom of hydrogen, they will be alike. They will be same. So single element have all the atoms of same type, and then the atoms of an element are different from the atoms of any another element. So here we say that any atom of hydrogen is say, and then any atom of nitrogen, so they will have different uh, differences. Like those atoms will not be same, they will be different because they are of different elements. So two different elements will have different atoms. Then a compound is found by combination of atoms of two or more elements in simple ratio. What are compounds? Compounds are when the elements combine together and form any new substances. Those are compounds. And compounds are when the elements combine with each other, when the atoms of the elements combine with each other in very simple ratio. Like I talk about water. Water is a compound of hydrogen and oxygen, where two hydrogen and one oxygen, like the hydrogen and oxygen ratio is 2:1 by volume to form water. Similarly, many substances are many compounds we see in, like we can talk about carbon dioxide, that is CO2. So here we have carbon ratio oxygen as 1:2. Okay, so that is like here the combination of elements is taking place, and they have some specific ratio. And then atoms take part in chemical reactions. So when the chemical reactions occur between any molecules, atoms, or I can say these compounds are taking reactions, so the atoms are the ones which take part in them. Atom can neither be created nor be destroyed. As we talk about matter, matter can neither be created and neither nor be destroyed. So we can say if atoms form matter, if matter is cannot be destroyed, so atoms can also not be destroyed. So atoms are like indivisible, that is they cannot be divided and also can neither be destroyed nor be created. So this was the theory of Dalton, and these are very useful points we need to know about atom. But some points were like disadvantages, we can say, or demerits from Dalton's this atomic theory. This was Dalton's atomic theory explains the law of conservation of mass and law of constant proportion. That is that first of all, talking about advantages, what it was that they Dalton's theory told us about the conservation of mass. Conservation of mass is that mass can neither be created nor be destroyed. Mass is actually coming from the matter. The matter have mass na, so mass can neither be created nor be destroyed. This is told to us by Dalton. So this was a very useful point. And then law of constant proportion, that is the ratio thing, the compounds formation thing, he told us about. That is the compounds are found by elements by combining in some particular ratio proportion. So that is a very useful thing. And then atoms of elements take part in chemical reaction. This is true till today. This is not false or anything, but atoms take part in chemical reaction. This is also told to us about. And then disadvantage, the atom is no longer supposed to be indivisible. So now we can, now with the further discoveries, further inventions, we have come to the point that atom is not indivisible, like it can be divided further. But those small particles are but we can say that, we can still say that atoms come together to form matter. And then we have, he could not explain that why do atoms of same elements combined with each other. Like he cannot tell us that why two atoms of same element combined with each other. Like we can say the different elements atoms combine with each other, but not this point. Then atoms of the same element may not be necessarily identical in all aspects. Example, isotopes. Like isotopes have isotopes are those atoms which isotopes are those atoms which have the same element but have different masses of them. Like the atomic number is same but the mass is same, mass is not same. I will discuss this in the end of this chapter, that what are isotopes and what are isobars. When we will discuss atomic number and atomic masses, then you will be more easily getting the things there. And atoms of different elements may not necessarily be different in all aspects. Like not everything may be same in may be same for atoms of same element and also the other point. Okay, then we have atom theory of modern times. Like the discoveries, after further discoveries, we came to this theory, modern atomic theory. In this theory, atom is said that it is made up of different further particles, small particles which come up to make an atom. We have said that atom is the smallest unit, the fundamental unit, but atom is further made up of some small units inside it. That is, an atom is composed of two regions: the nucleus, which is the center of the atom and contains protons and neutrons, and the outer region of the atom, which holds its electrons, which revolve around the nucleus in orbits. So this line was a very huge line and it is very tough to understand, but we will understand it. For what are we saying? That the atom have two regions, like one region inside, like I talk, it is a circle. Let us see the diagram. So this is the atom. Like I have this as the center part and this is the outer region. Then this region is the nucleus region. Nucleus regions have protons and neutrons in it. So and the in the outer region we have electrons, that is these with the green symbols. So this is an atom where we can say that there are three kind of particles, like three particles which I have talked about: protons, neutrons and electrons. So three particles were there and they all combine to form the atoms. And what are they? They have two regions. The first region is the nucleus, and nucleus have the region of protons and neutrons. And then the outer region, that is the electrons, and the electrons revolve around the nucleus, and they that combinedly formed the atom. The protons and neutrons are collectively called nucleons. Why? Because why are they called as nucleons? Because they are the part of nucleus. Why? The protons and the neutrons are the part of nucleus, so they are called nucleons. There are still smaller particles inside the atom called subatomic particles. So that are electrons, protons and neutrons. So these three type of particles are called subatomic particles. Like we can say they are inside the atom, so they are called subatomic particles. Like they are smaller than the atom and they all combine together to form the atom. Since the electrons are of negligible mass, the entire mass of the atom is in the nucleus, is is due to the nucleus. Like we have seen the structure that the nucleus here, the nucleus is here and the electrons revolve around the nucleus. So we say that here is the whole mass of the atom because they all are of negligible masses. So now talking about neutrons, protons and electrons, they all are some subatomic particles which have different properties. First of all, the symbols of the electron is E, and then proton P, and then neutron N. They are particles which have charge in them. Like I talk about electron, then electron have negative charge in it. Like the nucleus, around the nucleus, the negative charge revolves. And then I talk about protons that have positive charge. So all the positive charge of an atom is combined in a nucleus in a very small area. And then neutron, it does not have any charge, it is neutral in nature. So if I talk about this atom, like I have here 6 protons, 6 neutrons and 6 electrons, because the number of electrons and protons are always equal in any atom for the neutrality. Like I talk about electrical neutrality, what it is, if the positive charge and the negative charge are equal, then the whole substance will be electrically neutral. So here we have the substances as neutral substances. All are neutral substances, not everything is charged. So all the atoms are electrically neutral. So the number of protons and the number of number of protons and electrons is always equal. Like the positive charge cancels the negative charge. So here I have 6 protons and 6 neutrons in the inside area, and then in the revolving part they have 6 electrons. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is the number of all the electrons, protons and neutrons are equal in this, and that have the electrical neutrality of an atom. So atom is what? A particle which all come up to make matter. And atom is made up of subatomic particles that consist of protons, neutrons and electrons. So here I will say that electrons are negatively charged, and then protons have positive charge and neutrons have neutral charge, and all the mass is combined. All the mass of the atom is here in this nucleus part. Why in the nucleus part? Because electrons do not have too much mass, they are negligible mass, they have negligible mass. So all the mass of the atom is in the nucleus. Then we have atomic number and mass number with us. Like I should just explain the atom thing once again to you, that it is that if I say I talk about hydrogen, no, not actually hydrogen, but let's talk about oxygen. Okay, so what is oxygen? Oxygen is in the elements table we have discussed. Oxygen is that element with the symbol O, and it comes on the number 8. This number 8 is the number of protons and neutrons. That is, if I see, I have this nucleus, I have some orbits around it which the electrons revolve. So I have that if in this portion the protons and the neutrons are here, and here I have some electrons revolving. So these are the electrons. So in this is the whole structure of the atom we are discussing, and what it actually is, it is the smallest particle, and which is made up of small particles which have some have charge and some may not have. And if I say that the number of protons and the number of electrons are equal to each other, so what will happen? We will have that if the protons and electrons number are equal, so we will have the electrical neutrality of the atoms. So in oxygen they have 8 electrons, 8 protons and 8 neutrons. This was the example when 6 electrons and neutrons were there. That is the example of carbon. So we have the next topic. So we have the next topic, atomic number. Atomic number of an element is equal to the number of protons present in the nucleus of an atom of that element. So there is some number with which we specify all the elements. So if I talk about any element, I will take its atom and will count the number of protons inside its nucleus, and that number of protons is equal to its atomic number. So atomic number is defined as the number of protons. So atomic number of any atom is equal to the number of protons inside that nucleus of that atom. Then atomic number is represented on the left hand side of the symbol of the element as subscript. So if I say I talk about carbon, so I will write the number, this atomic number, in the left hand side, like this side, in the subscript here, like this. So here I write 6 in the subscript because it is the atomic number and it is written in the left hand side and in the subscript. So this is the representation, how we represent any atomic number to the symbol of the atom. Carbon have the symbol C. Then we have the next slide, that is atomic number of an element is equal to the number of protons in the nucleus. So the atomic number is equal to the number in nucleus. Then we have atomic number of an element is generally denoted by the symbol Z. So for representing the atomic numbers, we have a symbol capital Z. So if I say the symbol, if I say the atomic number of carbon, that is Z is equal to 6 for carbon. Each element has a unique atomic number. All the elements have very unique atomic number. Like I say about, these are the examples, note these, that oxygen have the Z equal to 8, that atomic number of oxygen is 8. And then sodium, atomic number of sodium is equal to 11, and then atomic number of chlorine, that is equal to 17. I have talked about 20 elements in the topic elements, and those elements have a sequence. Like one number we have hydrogen, then second number we have helium, then third number we have boron, then fourth number we have third number we have lithium, then fourth number we have beryllium, then fifth number we have boron, then sixth number we have carbon. So this number of sequence, that is the atomic number. So the each of the elements have the atomic number and they have unique atomic number, and we have discussed the list in the elements table also, that all the ones at 1 to 20, all of them are the atomic numbers of those elements. Like the first has hydrogen and second has helium, etc. Then we have another topic, mass number. Mass number is the sum of number of protons and neutrons present in the nucleus of an atom. So the number of protons is the atomic number, and the sum of the number of protons and the number of neutrons together is called the mass number. Here the mass number is represented either on the left hand side or on the right hand side of the symbol of the element as superscript. So if I talk about carbon, so I can write here, I write the atomic number in the subscript in the left hand side, and then I can write the mass number in the superscript either in the left hand side, or I can write it like that also in the upper side. So this is the representation of the mass number. Then we have the mass number of an element is equal to number of protons plus number of neutrons, and we know that number protons and neutrons together are called nucleons. So I can say that the total number of nucleons present in the nucleus come together to give us the mass number. Nucleus consist of protons and neutrons, and these are collectively known as nucleons, which we have already discussed. And then mass number of an element is generally denoted by the symbol capital A. You can see that this symbol is the capital A symbol. So if and the symbol of an element can be X, like I can write that C, H, we have different elements have different symbol, so writing it as X, that is the symbol of the element, and then this Z in the subscript is the atomic number, and then what is this? And then in the superscript we have the mass number. Then we have in this slide we will discuss that if we know any element mass number and atomic number both, how can we calculate the number of protons, neutrons and electrons by it? So how to determine the number of electrons, protons and neutrons in an atom if we know the mass number and the atomic number? So what is atomic number? Atomic number is the number of protons. So I can say that atomic number is Z. So atomic number is the number of protons. And then I have mass number. Mass number is represented by capital A, and mass number is the sum of protons plus neutrons. So if I say, so this is the P. So if I say, if I know the atomic number and the mass number, and I have to calculate the protons, neutrons and electrons in that particular atom. So how will we calculate? I talk about the protons. They have, the protons have that Z, that is, the protons have the Z. So the number of protons will be equal to the Z itself. So the number of protons I will get from the atomic number directly. And then I talk about the number of electrons. So what is the number of electrons? I have told you that atoms are electrically neutral and have equal number of protons and neutrons. Why? Because they have different charges and they cancel the charge of each other. So to make the atom as neutral, what will happen? The number of protons and the number of neutrons will be equal. So I can say that the number of electrons is equal to the number of protons, and that is equal to Z. Again, then I talk about the number of neutrons. So number of neutrons, that is N. Here we will derive it using these two equations. If I know that Z is equal to P and A is equal to P plus N, can I write it like this, that A is equal to P plus N? That is first, and then I will replace this P with this Z. Why? Because I know that P is equal to Z, that is the atomic number is equal to the number of protons, and I have this mass number with me. And now I have to calculate N, and I know A and Z both. So now I can calculate N. How? N is equal to A minus Z. So for number of neutrons, I will have A minus Z. That is the mass number, subtract it and the atomic number. So concluding this, if A is number of protons plus number of neutrons and Z is equal to number of protons, so I can say that P is equal to Z, that the number of protons is equal to the atomic number of that element, and then electrons, the number of electrons is equal to again the atomic number. Why? Because it is equal to the number of protons. And then I have this atomic number is equal to P plus N. Then atomic number, I have replaced P with Z, and then I can calculate the number of neutrons. So I will take an example here, and for that I can write it that I have an example. I can say I have chlorine, that is chlorine have the atomic number 17. This will be a little confusing for you. Let us not take the example chlorine. I should take the example carbon. Carbon have the symbol C, and the atomic number of carbon is 6. Okay, sorry. The atomic number is represented with Z, and then I have the mass number of carbon as 12. So I have to calculate the number of protons, electrons and neutrons in it. So for number of protons, what is the number of protons? The atomic number of the any element is equal to the number of protons. So I can say that this P is equal to the atomic number, that is Z. So I got the number of protons, and then I talk about the number of electrons. So what is the number of electrons? Number of electrons is equal to the number of protons again for the atom to be electrically neutral. So the number of electrons in carbon atom is again 6. And then now I talk about the number of neutrons. So how will I calculate the number of electrons? I know that this is equal to P and this is equal to P plus N. So if I know that P is equal to 6 and P plus N is equal to 12, can I calculate N? Very easily. That N is again 6. That is, I have done that. I have subtracted the atomic number from the mass number and I get the value of the number of neutrons. So this was how we calculated the number of electrons, protons and neutrons from the atomic number and using the mass number of any element. So with this, let us just conclude what we have studied till now. That first of all, we had discussed matter. Matter have 3 states and then they have different properties. We have discussed their examples, and we have discussed about atoms and then subatomic particles. How are atoms made up of those subatomic particles? We have discussed 2 theories, Dalton atomic theory and modern atomic theory. Then we have discussed the atomic number and the mass number, and we have calculated these kind of question with that. So thank you, and this was this lecture, and now we will discuss other things in the next chapter and also the module of this chapter. Thank you.